That was fun. Goodbye.
Game over!
Bye!
Try again. 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 Try again.
Yippee! Let's keep going! Yippee! Let's keep going! Yippee! Let's keep going! Yippee! Let's keep going! Good job!
One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, Sir Topham Hatt will let us pull the Express. The special coal they gave you is working well." "Hooray!" cried Henry. "That will be lovely." All kinds of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, cargo ships, and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading up the crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp, and the Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the freight cars. The cars shuddered and groaned. Trickety-trock, all right. That's better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. Hurry, panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal lights shone green as they passed. Then, a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the switches from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A freight train was waiting in the siding to let the flying kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the caboose. "The kipper is due," said the conductor. "Who cares?" said the fireman. "This is good cocoa." The driver got up. "Come on, fireman, back to our engine." They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine, and you won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry, doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Thank you very much." I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story.
The engines on the island of Sodor are good at different things. Gordon is a very good express. Percy is good at carrying the mail. And when Edward is not hauling freight cars, he is very good at being a back engine. When engines have heavy loads, Edward buffers up behind and helps push. But Edward is old. Some engines think this makes him unreliable.
Edward is a useless old steam pot, Gordon sniffed. He should be retired.
But he doesn't have tires, Percy said. Retired, said Thomas, means taken out of service.
And not a moment too soon,
said Gordon. And the other big engines agreed with him. But Percy was very upset. Later, his driver asked him why he looked so glum. Percy told him about Edward. The big engines don't think he's useful anymore, he said. Percy's driver saw Sir Topham Hatt and told him what Percy had said.
"I will attend to the matter immediately,"
said Sir Topham Hatt. Sir Topham Hatt had a plan.
"The new loop line is completed," he said to Edward. "I want you to teach Stepney how to run it properly."
But, sir, he asked, who will look after the freight cars?
"Duck will do your work,"
Sir Topham Hatt replied. When the other engines heard Duck was going to help them, they were pleased. "Duck is very reliable," said Henry.
"It makes no difference to me," said Gordon pompously. I don't need a back engine. And he wheeshed away. Edward enjoyed working with Stepney. It was great fun delivering passengers to stations in the beautiful countryside. But Duck was not happy. The trucks were playing their silly games. Duck should play with other ducks because he's no good at pulling trucks. Quack, 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 quack. Hold back, they giggled. Duck found himself going slower and slower and slower. Halfway up Gordon's Hill, his wheels stopped altogether. Duck was stuck. Oh no, said his driver. This is Gordon's line. Duck's guard phoned the signalman to warn him. It's too late to switch Gordon to the middle line, said the signalman. You'll have to flag him down. Gordon saw the guard. If I stop on this hill, I'll never get started again, he said crossly, and he buffered up to Duck. Gordon tried to set off again, but his wheels spun and spun. It's no use. We need a back engine, said the driver. I'll send for Edward. Gordon was cross. Edward was excited. He was going to be the back engine for 2 trains. Edward cheerfully buffered up and the strange train set off. They chuffed gently into the station. Look at that, laughed a boy. The back engine must be the strongest and the best. Gordon was embarrassed. Sir Topham Hatt spoke severely to Gordon. You have said rude things about Edward. He proved today that he is useful, reliable, and very helpful. Gordon felt very ashamed. The next morning, Gordon apologized. Thank you for helping me, Edward, puffed Gordon. You really are a useful engine. It's good to be back, Edward chuffed happily. Sir Topham Hatt's plan had worked. There was no more talk about Edward retiring.
It was the end of a busy day. The engines had been working hard. They were feeling pleased and proud. Except Henry. He was feeling ill. What's the matter with you, Henry? Thomas asked. My boiler's grumbling. Maybe it's grumbling at you, teased Thomas. That's not funny, hissed Henry. You just don't care. But Emily saw that Henry was leaving a puddle of water behind. She was worried. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt arrived. Thomas, Percy, Henry, I want you to collect some freight cars and take them to the docks. Yes, sir, cried Thomas and Percy. Henry watched the engines puff away. He didn't feel well. Useful engines don't complain, Henry muttered. He was leaving water everywhere as he chuffed towards the coaling plant. When When Emily saw this, she was more worried than ever. Then Thomas and Percy overtook Henry. "Hurry up, Henry!" Percy tooted. "I can't go any faster," Henry chuffed miserably. "You're just being lazy," teased Thomas. By the time Thomas and Percy reached the coaling plant, they had a naughty plan. "Please, sir," said Thomas, "Henry wants to take more freight cars." "He is bigger," added Percy. The odd manager agreed. Meanwhile, Emily was talking to Sir Topham Hatt. "I'm worried about Henry." Perhaps his tubes are leaking," replied Sir Topham Hatt. "You'd better check." By the time Henry reached the coaling plant, Thomas and Percy had already left. "Why did Thomas and Percy leave me so many freight cars?" moaned Henry. "They know I'm not feeling well." "We'll still have to take them," said his driver. Henry chuffed and puffed and pulled his long line of freight cars. "You can do it, Henry!" encouraged his driver. But it was no use. Henry ground to a halt. Just then Emily arrived. "Are you all right, Henry?" "No," moaned Henry. "I'm stuck." Henry's firemen uncoupled the heavy freight cars. Emily changed tracks and then hooked up to Henry. "Oh, thank you, Emily," wheezed Henry. Emily and Henry puffed into the docks. "Well done, Emily," said Sir Topham Hatt.
Thank you, sir.
Then he spoke to Henry. "You were brave, Henry. You weren't well, but you still tried to pull the heavy freight cars." Thomas and Percy felt ashamed.
We're sorry, Henry, said Thomas.
"We didn't think you were really sick," added Percy. "Go back and collect Henry's freight cars," said Sir Topham Hatt sternly.
Yes, sir,
whispered Thomas. Soon Henry was mended and back at work. "You're looking so much better," said Emily.
Well, they mended my tubes, but they didn't even look at my brakes, my gauges, my squeaky wheels.
Emily smiled.
All in good time, Henry.
Poor Henry.
One day, James had to wait at the station till Edward and his train came in. This made him cross. Late again? Edward laughed, and James fumed away. After James had finished his work, he went back to the yard and puffed onto the turntable. He was still feeling very bad-tempered. Edward is impossible, he grumbled to the others. He clanks about like a lot of old iron, and he is so slow he makes us wait. Thomas and Percy were indignant. Old iron? Slow? Why, Edward could beat you in a race any day. Really, said James, I should like to see him do it. Next morning, James's driver was suddenly taken ill. He could hardly stand, so the fireman uncoupled James ready for shunting. James was impatient. Suddenly, the signalman shouted. There was James puffing away down the line. All traffic halted, he announced at last. Then he told the fireman what had happened. 2 boys were on James's footplate fiddling with the controls. Phew! They tumbled off and ran when James started. The signalman answered the telephone. Yes, he's here. Right. I'll tell him. The inspector's coming at once. He wants a shunter's pole and a coil of wire rope. What for? Wondered the fireman. Search me, but you'd better get them quickly. The fireman was ready when Edward arrived. The inspector saw the pole and the rope. Good man, jump in. We'll catch him, puffed Edward. James was laughing. What a lark, he chuckled to himself. Suddenly he was going faster and faster. He realized that he had no driver. What shall I do? I can't stop. Help! Help! We're coming, called Edward. Edward was panting up behind with every ounce of steam he had. At last he caught up with James. Steady, Edward, called his driver. The inspector stood on Edward's front, holding a noose of rope in the crook of the shunter's pole. He was trying to slip it over James's buffer. The engine swayed and lurched. At last! Got him! He shouted. He pulled the noose tight. Gently braking, Edward's driver checked the engine's speed, and James's fireman scrambled across and took control. So the old iron caught you after all, chuckled Edward. I am sorry, whispered James. Thank you for saving me. You were splendid, Edward. That's all right, replied Edward. The engines arrived at the station side by side. The fat controller was waiting. A fine piece of work, he said. James, you can rest and then take your train. I'm proud of you, Edward. You shall go to the works and have your worn parts mended.
springtime, Rusty loves to visit a faraway place. It's filled with bluebells. The air smells sweet and Rusty thinks there is no better place to be. One day, Thomas was passing by just as Rusty was having a drink. Beep, beep, good morning, whistled Thomas. Your driver looks a little worried. I wonder why. I don't know, said Rusty, but I soon will. Excuse me, said Rusty, but is something wrong? Yes, indeed, replied the driver. They need another engine to help run this special line. A bluebell engine, laughed Rusty. Maybe I can find one. Later, Rusty saw Douglas and Percy. Rusty had an idea. Can you help me find another engine? Where? Where you found Oliver? You mean on the other railway? Yes, I'm looking for a bluebell engine, said Rusty, and explained everything. I'd like to help, but these days it's only diesels that go there. Then Rusty decided, so that's where I'll go. Take care, warned Douglas. Rusty told the driver all about the plan. And that night he came back to the shed. The manager says he'll make a home for a bluebell engine if you find one. Right, said Rusty. We'll find one tomorrow. It took them all of the next day to travel to the other railway. Darkness fell and the cold wind blew. Ooh, what's that? Murmured Rusty. But it was only the sounds of the lonely scrapyard. Diesels, silent and still, lined up on guard. Who are you? Rusty plucked up courage. I'm a shed and sidings inspection diesel. Have you any engines in the shed? No. Rusty rallied again. Then, what about the sidings?
One. We have one.
Rusty grew braver still. Then I'll just go and inspect. A small engine with a tall funnel stood sad and alone in the shadowy siding. His driver was huddled in the cab, keeping him company. Excuse me, said Rusty. Do you like bluebells? The engine looked startled. Yes, bluebells are beautiful. Then you're soon going to see lots of them because I'm getting you out of here. Everyone worked fast. It was difficult to set the fire, but soon it was glowing hot and Stepney had a good head of steam. Rusty's engineer agreed to be Stepney's fireman. So off they set, past the bleak and brooding line of diesels.
Where is he going?
They hissed. Just down the line, replied Rusty. And they chuffered quickly away. We've done it! We're over the border and back on our own railway. Mission accomplished. When Rusty and the engine arrived in the valley, a big welcome awaited them. We shall mend you and give you a new coat of paint, said the manager. His driver was delighted. You lucky old engine. You've been saved by the Bluebell Railway. And my friend Rusty, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Rusty. Now the little engine is as happy as can be and helps all the passengers who visit at Bluebell time. His name is Stepney, but everyone calls him the Bluebell Engine.
It was early morning on the island of Sodor. Duncan was waiting for Peter Sam, who was bringing some freight cars for him to take to Strawberry Grove. Duncan was also to take the headmaster and the new organ. While they waited, the headmaster played a lively tune. Peter Sam had steamed all through the night to bring Duncan his wagons. But as he approached the junction, a low-hanging branch knocked his whistle off. This meant he couldn't work until he got a new one. I can't run on the tracks without my whistle, chuffed Peter Sam. That would be too dangerous. An engine's not an engine without a whistle, boasted Duncan. And just to prove it, he let off a big blast. But the rest of the engines just ignored him. Duncan chuffed away in a big huff. He was cross. They're jealous of my fine whistle, Duncan huffed, as he steamed through the countryside. He whistled at some sheep, but they were too busy eating grass to take notice. Bah, said Duncan. I need to whistle louder and longer next time. Soon Duncan approached a level crossing where Elizabeth, the quarry truck, waited with a farmer's prize bull. This time, Duncan whistled as loud and as long as he could. Said the bull. Stop that nonsense, Duncan, Elizabeth called. Duncan carried on cheerfully down the track. But he hadn't noticed his whistle had come loose. Then Duncan saw Terence plowing a field. He'll get the loudest and longest whistle yet, he chortled to himself. And he blew so hard, his whistle shot off like a mighty rocket and landed out of sight. Everyone searched for Duncan's whistle, but it was nowhere to be seen. We're stuck, said his driver. We can't move without a whistle. It would be too dangerous. Leave it to me, the headmaster said. For the rest of the day, Duncan didn't make a sound. But the headmaster's organ did. As Duncan delivered his freight cars, the headmaster tooted the organ at every crossing and every stop. It alerted everyone just as well as a whistle would, although Duncan didn't think so. Finally, Duncan finished delivering the last of his freight cars. Duncan steamed quietly back to the junction as the headmaster played the organ. Look, Rusty teased, it's Duncan the musical engine. Let's whistle along, said Rheneas. Whistled Skarloey. But Peter Sam, who had a shiny new whistle, felt sorry for Duncan. You really did well to deliver your goods without a whistle, he said. Do you think so? Said Duncan, cheering up a bit. Absolutely, said Peter Sam. Even though an engine's not an engine without a whistle. Or an organ, chuckled the headmaster, and he tooted the organ. And all the engines tooted back, except Duncan.
When you think life's unfair and you feel nobody cares, don't be afraid to open the door. Then you'll find you're not alone anymore. Sometimes there's rainy days. You may need help along the way.
sun is rising high up over Terrytown. Friends taking off and friends touching down. And that's where you'll find that one of a kind JJ. JJ the jet plane.
That's me!
Never been another little guy like this. So much in love with the sky like this. So buckle up tight, it's a magical flight with JJ. JJ. JJ the jet plane.
That's me!
Welcome to the Character Gallery. Thomas and Percy have many friends on the island of Sodor. Visit them all by pressing the left direction button on your controller. Percy is the junior member of the principal team of engines. He's a happy little chap who's normally quite happy puffing around the yard, with no particular desire for adventure in the great world outside. He's always keen to oblige, a fact of which the other engines are apt to take advantage. Thomas can be described as a cheeky, fussy little engine. He often gets into scrapes, usually by being overeager to do things best left to bigger and more sensible engines. But clouds never last long in Thomas's life, and he's soon bustling about again, playing his part in the yard and on his very own branch line, of which he is extremely proud. James is a medium-sized engine. His 6 driving wheels are not as big as Gordon's and not as small as Thomas's. He has a fine scarlet coat and brass dome and likes to think of himself as a really splendid engine. This can occasionally lead to highfalutin ideas about the sort of work suitable for such a noble creature. Invariably, they land James in trouble. Henry is a long, fast engine. He has a thoroughbred look, and like all thoroughbreds, tends to be somewhat highly strung and prone to illness. But he has his new shape now, and sympathetically driven, he'll give any engine a run for its money. Duck is a cheerful and busy engine. He's only a small tank engine, but coming as he does from the Great Western Railroad, he'll stand no nonsense whatsoever from the larger engines who try to order him about. Mavis is a feisty young diesel engine who works at the quarry. She's full of her own ideas and doesn't take kindly to advice. She has a lot to learn about trucks, but with Toby's help, she is learning to be a really useful engine. Gordon is the senior member of the engine family, the fastest and most powerful of my string, and he knows it. He's good-hearted, though, and always willing to forgive, and uses his superior strength to help smaller engines out of trouble. Edward is an older engine, but the most important thing about him is that he's kind. When the other engines misbehave, it's Edward that I turn to calm everyone down and restore order. Toby is old-fashioned, both in looks and outlook. Every engine, no matter how old, wants to be really useful, and having once nearly been scrapped, Toby is always happy to work. He's not above being temperamental sometimes, but since he works mainly up on an outlying quarry line, he can work off his moods without causing grief to anyone except his own faithful coach, Henrietta. Annie and Clarabelle were given to Thomas as a reward for being a really useful engine. They are much loved, but have both seen better days. Annie carries passengers. She is always pulled by Thomas and travels facing him. Clarabelle is a composite coach. She has one section for passengers and one for the luggage and the guard. Clarabelle always travels behind Annie, facing away from Thomas. Bertie has a great deal in common with Thomas.
Ever since their great race, they've been the firmest of friends. Bertie's strongest characteristic is his friendly grin and his readiness to help any engine prepared to admit that just sometimes roads have their uses as well as rails. In a railway family, Harold can hardly avoid having a high profile. He brings a welcome spot of dash to the quiet landscape of Sodor whenever he appears, and even if the noise he makes is occasionally wearing, he is good-hearted, and the engines are always pleased to see him. Like all cranes, Cranky has a high and mighty attitude, which often annoys the engines. Cranky knows that if he ever gets too big for his crane hook, the engines have ways of getting back at him. However, Cranky enjoys teasing them because he says it makes for good working relationships. But don't ask Percy if he agrees. Bulstrode is an old, bad-mannered, motorized seagoing barge. He's only happy when he's carrying a full load of cargo. Otherwise, he's grumpy and rude. His moaning and groaning soon got him in trouble when Percy and some troublesome trucks taught him a lesson. Trevor is a very old tractor who enjoys to spend time dozing in the sun. However, he dislikes being left outside for too long and loves an opportunity to show he's still capable of a good day's work. Slow and steady and always with a smile, that's Terence. The subject of endless teasing from the younger engines because of his caterpillar tracks, Terence takes it all in good stride and gets on with the job, never hesitating to help out when an emergency pull is called for. It's been many years since I first came to Sodor as a railway engineer. I rose quickly in the company, being a director at an early age and eventually chairman. My imposing appearance, no less than my firm but kindly handling of both engines and staff, earned me the affectionate nickname of the Fat Director. Then, after nationalization, when I was awarded a knighthood for my services to the railway industry, I became Sir Topham Hatt, the Fat Controller.
Sesame Street and Autism, Nizaiah's Day.
Lots of kids have autism, and that means their brains just work a little differently. My friend Nizaiah, he's learning ways to work on things that are, well, a little bit harder for him. And boy, is he amazing. You just gotta meet him. This is my friend Nizaiah. He's 4 years old. Nizaiah has autism. That makes some things harder for him than other kids. Today, he's going to have a fun day with Mom and Dad. First stop, a playground. The playground is a fun place, but sometimes it's a little scary for a kid like Nizaiah. Right now, he's worried about swinging on the monkey bars.
Okay, jump to me.
I can tell because he flaps his arms when he's nervous. Good thing his dad is there to help him down safely. Nizaiah wants to play with other boys on the playground, but sometimes kids with autism don't know how to join in.
I'll go with you and I'll show you how to say hi.
His mom is teaching him what to do. Sometimes it's easier to play than talk. After all, everybody likes to play chase. Nizaiah made 2 new friends today. The day is off to a good start. Bye-bye. Bye. After the park, they go to Nizaiah's favorite diner to eat together. The waitress, Amelia, leans down to talk to Nizaiah. He is learning how to look people in the eye, which isn't always easy for kids with autism. He's also learning how to ask for what he wants.
What do you want to drink? Tell Amelia what do you want to drink.
Orange juice.
Orange juice?
And how to use good manners, like saying please.
Check, please.
After lunch, Isaiah goes back home to play with his little sister Genesis. He calls her Jenny. Just like other kids, they're learning how to share. But it isn't easy. When Isaiah gets too upset, it can be hard to calm down. But drawing with crayons helps him relax. Isaiah and his mom are reading a book. It's his bedtime routine.
Good friend, little dinosaur.
Doing it the same way every night makes him happy. Because he worked really hard today.
No. The end. Were you a good friend today?
Yeah.
I think you were a great friend today.
Yeah. I'm with my friend Isaiah. He's my new friend. I learned a lot today from you, right? I learned that we can say the alphabet. Wait, I forget how the alphabet goes though. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, P, and O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z, Y, Z, and Y. I'm so glad that you shared with me today. Come here, I want to tell you something. I think you're amazing. I think you're amazing.
Share this story and find more at www.sesamestreet.org/autism and use #SeeAmazing to share your amazing story. Major support provided by American Greetings. Generous support provided by the Robert R. McCormick Foundation and Kristen Rohr.
How Wags Almost Missed the Show by Kathleen Warren. It was a busy morning at Network Wiggles. Anthony was checking the cameras and Murray was tuning his guitars. Greg was at the control panel and Jeff was asleep. "Wake up, Jeff," called Murray, moving across to tidy up the set. "There's a lot to do." Jeff yawned and stretched. "Sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. What's happening?" "You can't have forgotten," said Greg. "Everyone will be here soon." "Are they coming for lunch?" asked Anthony hopefully. Greg shook his head. "Of course not. We're making a television program right here in the studio." Just then, Captain Feathersword, Henry the Octopus, and Dorothy the Dinosaur arrived. "Hello," Murray greeted them. "We're nearly ready. Where's Wags?" Captain Feathersword, Henry, and Dorothy looked worried. "Isn't he here?" they asked. "No," replied Greg. "We thought he was coming with you." "He went for a run this morning, and we decided he must have come straight here," said Captain Feathersword. "I hope he won't be long. We need him for the show." "Perhaps he's got stage fright and doesn't want to perform," suggested Dorothy. Henry laughed. "Not Wags. He's been practicing for weeks. He's so excited about having his own spot in the show." "Perhaps we should look for him," suggested Anthony. "There's not much more to do here." Everyone agreed. "Dorothy and Henry and I will look around here and you four take the big red car," said Captain Feathersword. The Wiggles piled into the big red car, Anthony grabbing an apple to ward off hunger pangs, and drove down the road. They passed a cow in a paddock. "Have you seen Wags?" they asked. "Mm," replied the cow, shaking her head. They passed a flock of sheep. "Have you seen Wags?" asked the Wiggles. "Meh, meh," said the sheep. "The trouble is," said Murray,
We don't know where to look. Just then, a pelican flew above them, flapping its wings and making pelican sounds. Jeff pointed at the pelican. That pelican is trying to tell us something. I think it wants us to follow it. The pelican nodded and flapped its wings. It flew towards a lake and out across the water. The big red car can't go on water, said Greg. Look, said Anthony, pointing to the middle of the lake. There, in a small boat, was Wags with a fishing rod in his paws. The Wiggles rushed to the shore. They waved and shouted, "Hey Wags, you'll be late for the television program at Network Wiggles!" Wags looked up in astonishment. He grasped the oars and rowed back to the shore. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't realise it was so late. It was peaceful out there on the lake, and I thought a spot of fishing might calm my nerves before the show. The time just slipped away." "We were worried about you," said Murray. "We're glad you're safe, but we'd better get back to Network Wiggles." "I'm off," woofed Wags, running over the paddocks in the direction of Network Wiggles, while the big red car followed behind. Everyone was pleased to see that Wags was safe and sound. "It's on with the show, me hearties!" cried Captain Feathersword. The cast took their places. "Action!" called the director, and the program began. When Wags' turn came, he amazed everyone. He walked along a narrow beam, balancing a ball on his nose, and he juggled 5 bones at once. Everyone cheered. "Wags is the star of Network Wiggles," cried Anthony. "Hooray for Wags!"